Hello and welcome to Drunk Tolk, the podcast book club for people who love talking shite and drinking cans. And I know what you're thinking. This is not Ross, your usual host. This is Bull speaking. I'm here with the lads. How are you, lads?
How are you, Bull? How are you?
How's it going? We have a treat for you this week. For one, we don't have Ross. Got rid of the bastard. He's done. He's been fired.
About time.
You'd be glad to know that I am only standing in temporarily. The man is off doing... what is he doing, lads? Volunteering at the local children's hospital, is that it?
That's it.
Yeah, I think that's it. Good man. Anyway, big boots to fill. He is a legend of the podcast already. Fairly charismatic. You're getting his Igor-esque friend taking over this podcast. I'll try my best. Don't hold me to ransom. You know, he will be back next week. So just listen for the next 50 minutes and just pretend it was grand, all right? Anyway, we have another treat for you. We have a new member of the pod. He's fresh off the bench. Super sub. I don't know, how would you describe this lad? He's a man about town.
He's the Bill Murray in Space Jam. He just shows up out of nowhere.
He's pretty fucking good.
We don't want to blow his head up too much, but he's also recently looking a bit like Tom Selleck with the moustache he's sporting.
You don't want to blow my head up too much.
Yeah, no.
Too late.
He's a wee cultured city boy. He's a seasoned coffee connoisseur. He's a face for telly and a voice for radio. It's Owen Newman. Owen Newman, how are you?
I'm great, Paul. Thanks very much. Thanks, lads, for having me on. It's a great pleasure and an honour.
Yeah.
To be among such minds, you know. Big fan of the podcast, as is, you know. So this is great. Lapping it up.
Owen has been a valued member of the fan club. He's been giving us a bit of guidance in the background, you know. He bought the book and joined the club, I suppose. We literally changed our regular WhatsApp group into a podcast WhatsApp group. And Owen just kind of...
Yeah. And then you's got another WhatsApp that I was excluded from.
Yeah, we did that.
Yeah. Well, you can blame Bull for that one.
Let's get the facts straight.
But we still mout about you in front of you. Don't worry. We're not mouting about you behind your
back. Anyway, what are you drinking, Owen?
I'm on the Guinness. Am I pronouncing that right? The Guinness. I was going to go and get something crafty, but I even got a free can of something from a coffee rep that I know, and it was called. He runs a coffee roastery up in Belfast, and he has like a collaboration with a brewery down there, and it was a coffee stout, and it was called A Guide to the Northern Ireland Protocol. That's what it was called.
Jesus,
but I hate craft stout. I cannot stand it. It's like syrup. It's like syrup. So it is. Syrup is like it's syrupy, you know.
Syrup.
So just said I'd stick to the Guinness, and it's going down a treat. So
it's like they're trying too hard with craft stout, isn't it? It's like it has to taste chocolatey, or it has to taste like a fucking Easter bunny chocolate egg with marshmallows, or you know, it has to taste like espresso.
Well, one of them, I had one of them, and it did taste like it was called like fake cake, and it did actually taste like cake. So I'll give them that.
But I don't want my Guinness to taste like cake.
I don't know. It was a coffee
stout like this.
Yeah, I know. I remember being remember we went to the the Porterhouse Central in Temple Bar. We all went up, big craft beer pub. We all sat down. We each got a pint of craft beer, and I think we had one sip of it, and then looked at each other and then just left because it was just shit. We just collectively had an agreement that let's get out of here.
Yeah.
And never do this again.
Let's go find the Guinness.
Let's find the Guinness. We're in Dublin. Let's go find the Guinness. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks very much, Owen. I'll go on to me next. Owen.
No bother.
Owen, the general, as Ross would call you.
Yeah. We're going to get mixed up now because you're going to be like, Owen, what do you think of this?
Yeah. So what would we say? We called...
Well, you all call me Newman anyway, so starters you'd lean to go on, so it's easier.
So Newman and then Owen.
We spell it differently though, so it is distinguishable. But anyway, yeah, I'm good. Well, how are you?
I'm grand, thanks very much. Bit back and forth.
Bit of back and forth.
Straight away, you're picking up his traits.
What are you drinking on?
I am drinking. I went kind of crafty again. I've just gone very crafty, and it's 8 Degrees Brewing is the name of company. Irish beer, Irish ale actually, called Howling Gale. It's nice, fruity.
Keeping it local.
Yeah, I was drinking Brewdog last week, and I had one that wasn't great, and it just put me off them. So I'm going to try something new now. And it's nice, grapefruit, citrusy, easy to drink. It'd be nice on an out summer's day in the Shire. You know,
They'd be making the grapefruit ales, would they, in the Shire?
Mm.
How far would a grapefruit have to travel to get to the Shire? You know, is it a tropical climate?
I'd say it is. They're always talking about how hot it is in summer. So, well, I don't know.
If they had an old garden
grapefruits
shed,
grow either.
what was it, an old greenhouse?
Greenhouse.
Or a polytunnel, you know.
Oh, look at this fella.
Oh,
There you go. Imagine an old polytunnel.
look at this, already bringing the culture.
What's a polytunnel?
No, but it's like, you know, you see them the length and breadth of the country where they kind of
Oh, they're
grow
just like
strawberries.
the-
It's like the half dome greenhouse,
semicircle.
but it's plastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And be growing all
That's what
sorts.
they're called. There you go.
And like the boys grew weed year round, so it's kind of like you would think that they would have, as in the hobbits. Like I know there was naturally occurring weed, but you'd have to think that, you know, supply and demand and all that shit would come into play, where they would have to.
Newman's already pushing his strong agenda.
Just thinking, you know, I'm just thinking about the lads, you know. Sorry.
Just spitballing.
Yeah.
I'd imagine it would be warm. Would it get warmer as the Dark Lord kind of takes over more of the realm? You know, because he's warm. You know, he's got a volcano. He's, you know, would the weather get warmer or would it get colder? Anyway, we'll get into that later. Oisín, how are you doing?
I'm good, Bull. I'm good. Can't complain. I'm enjoying the bit of chat we're having here. I think it's a lot more free flowing with Ross. He must be on like eggshells around him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say get rid of him. Mutiny.
Mutiny.
Well, look, if you can't make time for us, then
Fuck's sake.
New WhatsApp group. That's how it's done.
yeah.
How important are those kids at the hospital? Like, I mean,
Exactly. Like lads, may I say, I think it's the happiest I've ever seen you all, and I'm not going to say that Ross is the common denominator given the fact that he's not here, but I've never seen such life in your faces. And that could be just a coincidence. I don't know.
Ross is going to be bulling when he's listening to this.
what are you drinking, Oisín? Back to the pod.
Yeah, I am. You weren't here last week. It's kind of the same stuff I had last week, just different variations of it. It's called Fox's Rock. It's a craft as well. We're all very crafty.
Very South Dublin.
No, it's not. It's from Carlingford, apparently.
Oh, Jesus.
North County Loud.
Go on, loud.
Border.
Oh,
County
Loud.
Border.
Gone loud.
Up loud. Huh?
Yeah, it's not bad. So this is a red ale I have, and I also have another one here beside me that's, what the hell is it? A pale ale, maybe? Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're on special. You're always on about your craft beer, so I said here, I'm going to look like Bull next week after my haircut, so let's drink like Bull too.
I'm not pushing any agenda here. Like, you don't have to drink craft beer if you don't want to.
No.
Oisín.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
Yeah, no.
Don't be drinking
Like,
anything
normally
you don't
I'd
like.
just be conservative maybe and just go for Harp, Guinness, whatever, the usual. And then I seen this
Harp's
and I
a
was like,
craft beer. Harp is a craft beer, the original.
no, that's not craft.
What? Are you taking shots there, Bull?
That's to calm the nerves. Rachel advised here. Have a little shot of whiskey there. Little shot.
She just there on the side or something,
little
passing
shot.
them to you.
Rachel has other ideas for when the fucking podcast is over, I'd say.
Wait. Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings. Back to the thing. Back to the pod. So will I move on, or is anybody going to ask me what I'm fucking drinking? Fuck's sake, I know how Ross feels.
Well, we know
about
you're
it.
drinking.
You
now
just
shots
said
of
you're
whiskey
doing
there.
shots of whiskey.
I'm not just drinking shots. I have one shot of whiskey to calm the nerves of being a host.
Apart from your shot of whiskey, what do you have?
So I have... I'm keeping it local.
Yeah, I think your carbon footprint.
Yep, I had to think of it. It's crafty. It's independent. It's called St. Mel's and it's from Longford. I also have
St.
two lined up after it
Mel's.
from the White Hag in Sligo.
That West of Ireland style.
This is a Shamrock Shake ice cream ale. So it tastes like the ice cream
McDonald's,
milkshake
yo.
from McDonald's. Yeah, it's fucking
nice.
green and
Minty,
all.
is it?
They're like the Paddy's Day special
Yeah.
ice cream.
Yeah, you
thing.
get that for
Very
like
nice.
2 weeks and then it's gone.
It's special.
Into the wind.
I think my brother got it for my birthday for the last 4 cans in Ireland, I think it was. Because I
What?
couldn't find it. And he managed
gone
to get it.
now.
It's gone. That's
Sell
it. I'm
that.
drinking the last 4 cans.
Sell that shit.
And,
Yeah, don't.
I should sell
What's
it
the
actually.
expiry date on them?
Um,
Fucking leave it as long as you can.
yeah. I also got this other thing, which is great because it's called Fionn, which is my son's name, which I should probably keep for the Patreon as well. You know, I don't want you knowing too much about
Yeah.
it. but it's pretty. Look at that shit. It's
Very nice
8.5%, and it's also from the White Hag. And
Nice
you know,
pattern.
White Hag, if you're interested, you know, I'll drink this stuff for free if you want me to.
I'll drink the shirt off any man's back.
I'll just before I started the pod, I was pure excited to talk about my horn of ale. I literally got a horn, not on me, like, but as
Congratulations.
it looks like an old bull horn that's cut into a cup shape, filled it full of ale. It's going to have a fucking horn of ale for my podcast, and the thing started leaking within 12 seconds. So absolutely devastated.
How much does it hold?
How?
It looks like it holds about fucking 3 pints.
Yeah.
What's it made of? Did you say it was made of like a hoof or something?
Made of broken dreams.
Because it's a big toenail, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you drink out of a toenail.
I'm pretty sure it's plastic. Fairly looks plastic. Yeah, definitely doesn't feel like a real horn. I don't know what that feel like anyway.
You just can't open your mouth these days without some sort of innuendo.
A
or
Willy mentioned every pod. That's my guarantee.
You've already got a 6 in, I'd say.
That's what she said.
Give the fans what they want. They'd be disappointed if you didn't.
Oh,
Anyway,
God.
lads,
Right.
back to the pod. How long have I shited on?
Not long
That,
enough.
that was probably the longest intro we've done.
15 minutes of absolute lovely.
Butcher, look.
Be
What
grand.
can you do?
It was all relevant enough.
When you're not under the fucking strict whip of Ross
Yeah.
Pryle.
You're just you just keep letting out the rope, you know, giving yourself a bit more, a bit more.
Mm.
Anyway, what's the crack? I missed out last week. I had to do a recap. I had to listen up. And he's had some delicious hot takes and Tom Bombadil and Goldberry, and it was a joy to listen to. I didn't even get to finish it, so fans will be more up to date than I am. But yeah, it was a delicious chapter. I'm sorry I missed it.
No, go for it. You let us know now. So what's your hot take on Tom Bombadil, and we'll go from there because this starts with him as well.
So he's clearly, like you said, he's not of the universe. Or is he? If you read into it, Tolkien already wrote a story for his kids about Tom Bombadil. Maybe he loves his kids so much that he'd put in 3 chapters just to make them happy to read it. You know, there's Tom. Getting back to like him fitting into the universe, I think he's like he's either like Mother Nature in the father kind of way. So he's like Father Nature because he's so in touch with the hills and the streams, and he can talk to trees and birds and animals and all that sort of jazz. I had this other hot take that I remember mentioning in one of the pods about, you know, how the universe was made in the beginning, and it was made through song, and Tom is always fucking singing, always singing.
Oh my God! Did he create the universe?
I don't know. I mean, I looked through this at the end. I was like, right, so you have your Eru, the god. Then you have down below it is the Valar. The Valar are like the sexiest mayor. So every Valar is a mayor, but not every mayor is a Valar. So there's like 10 or 12. So imagine them as like apostles of Jesus or something. I don't know. There's like 12 of them. So only the best of them and strongest are Valar. And he might be a Maiar, which is like, you know, he might be down the line, but maybe he helped with the song. I don't know.
I thought that last week as well.
There's probably fans going to tell me that, you know, we know exactly who sung the song that made the universe, and Tom wasn't one of them. Maybe he was just on the outskirts. Maybe he was made by the song. That's why he just speaks in song the whole time now.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my hot take. He's either like remnants of the song, or he's a fucking witch. He's a wizard.
Maybe he is the song.
Maybe he's a wight. We meet
He
wights
might just love singing. He might just love singing.
Yeah, he might just
Yeah,
be
yeah.
a crackpot. Who
Let
loves to
the
sing.
lad sing. Just let him sing. Let him.
Let
just,
people
you
sing.
know.
Fucking hell. You're dead right. Maybe we're just looking too much into it.
Maybe. But that's
Maybe
the point,
he's-
isn't it?
yeah.
Sure, they were doing a podcast to talk about it. May as well look into it.
I had the question, what if he was wearing fucking gloves when he wore the ring? If you're wearing a glove and then you put the ring on, does it work?
Good question. It surely worked for Sauron because he had all the armor and the ring on. But he wasn't.
But he never turned
Maybe that's the
invisible.
reason why he. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think he has some sort of spells that it doesn't turn him invisible at all.
Maybe Tom is like the lawyer in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and he's really ashamed of his hands, and he wears fake hands over his regular
You
hands.
may remember me as a man.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe he's just a regular dude who like saw the ring coming because he was told about the boys arriving. He knew they had a ring. You know, maybe he just is ashamed of his hands. Put on his hand-looking gloves, and he tried it on. He was like, "Ooh."
But couldn't he also see Frodo when Frodo nipped the ring on? He said, "I get out of that, lad."
Right.
That's not normal.
You know what I mean?
Imagine one of us turned invisible right now. You know, he already knew Frodo was in the room. If one of you turned invisible immediately, I'd just be like, "Here, Owen, get back in that fucking seat now and stop messing about."
But apparently,
You know, I
said,
know
like,
you're already in the room.
But apparently Frodo was walking somewhere because Tom was like, "Frodo, where are you going? Sit back down." He was like, he followed his
Knew where
direction.
he was, not
Right,
just
rather
rather
than-
invisible.
I'll say again, if one of you's put on the ring and I just did happen to miss you vanish and you had fucked off and I was like, "Where the fuck? Here, Owen, come back here. Where are you gone?" Maybe he didn't see Frodo. And he was just like, "Where the fuck is Frodo gone? Come back here, Frodo. Here, where are you
Yeah, it
gone?"
could have been an educated guess. Maybe it's
Yeah.
only like Frodo to be strolling around the gaff, and he's like, "Lad, stop strolling around the gaff.
Yeah,
Fuck back
get
in."
back in
You know what I
here.
mean?
Yeah, true.
You know?
Could be.
I've had the gift of a week to think about it. You know what I mean? Listen to your opinions and shit all over them. Anyway, that's my opinions. Cheers for letting me have a go.
Yeah, why not?
Well,
Do we need to do a summary of the chapter?
yeah.
What happens in this chapter, lads? I think do you want to let Mr. Newman go ahead?
Yeah, Newman, you do it. See how.
Oh, really? I'm gonna do it.
Just like a
Just-
30
just a
second
quick-
summary.
Yeah.
Ah, well, look, they basically they leave the comfort of Tom Bombadil's house. They forget to say goodbye to Goldberry because apparently that's very important.
For Frodo, anyway.
Have you talked about? Is Goldberry the wettest character in the? Would you say the imagery that got conjured in my mind, lads? I'd be ashamed if anyone saw it.
Butt naked and
Just calling someone the wettest, calling someone wet.
I thought to be wet was almost universal. I thought it was like
Yeah.
maybe, yeah.
Like
I think it is, but would an American man call an American woman wet
Are you wet?
and mean she's attractive or she's sexy or that kind of thing?
maybe not.
I don't know.
Would a South Sudanian call her wet? I mean, we might have fans in South Sudan.
I hope so.
True.
Anyway,
Back to the pod.
sorry
Yeah,
for that little
Do your
segue.
summary.
They left the comfort of Tom Bombadil's house to set out. They went across the Barrow-Downs along their journey, and they were, let's say, almost kidnapped by some Barrow wights. They ended up in a barrow in a place that they didn't know, and they had to escape. And I suppose it was more so Frodo had to find like his inner fortitude, get out of it. Tom Bombadil came and rescued them, and then they set off again to the village of Bree, and that's more or less kind of what happened.
Good stuff. I
Spot on.
suppose it's a good lead on into my first two questions. You said so casually they went across the Barrow-Downs and they met a wight. And what the fuck is a Barrow-Down? And what the fuck is a wight? I've heard about wights in The Witcher, and wights are ghostly things that can't speak. Wights
Also Game of
in
Thrones
Game of
as well.
Thrones, they're zombies. Like, what is a wight in this
Yeah.
sense?
What I imagined now, I had a weird image in my head. No Face. I had to Google who he was. The
Oh,
weird
No-Face.
thing from Spirited Away. That character. He just floats around. That's what I imagined when they said a wight. I don't know why. It just seemed appropriate. Something weird. I'm not sure why they're there. I don't have a clue. There's weird folk all about this place.
But we
Yeah.
know from this chapter that the wight has a voice, can do incantations. It has a grip, but it also has a fucking gammy little hand like the Addams family that just crawls around. So like, what the fuck is it? I listened to this. I had to listen to this chapter like 4 times, and then I read it again just to really get my head around it. Like what's your take on it?
There's something I think about the word white that almost conveys immediately to me what exactly it is. There's something about that word, and maybe it's because we're kind of so involved in the whole what the Lord of the Rings is and the folklore and the world and all that kind of crack. But I'd explain it to someone and say, well, the white, it's kind of like a wraith, and I was like, what's a wraith? And I was like, oh, fuck off, I can't talk to you. Like, you don't know like what you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no point.
Talk to yourself, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
Another version of.
I suppose you're not coming into chapter 8's episode not knowing a thing about, you know, mythology, and you know you've read Lord of the Rings or something like it before now. If you haven't,
Oh, you jumped in the deep
know,
end.
you're 15 and you're jumping into this. I mean, go out there. I'm so excited for you. You're 15 and like so much you've yet to experience. Like wights are only like a milli% of what you're going to find out. I'm delighted for you. Anyway, back to the pod. What the fuck is a Barrow-Down?
Well, like what I thought, Barrow-Down is the area. Like the Barrow-Downs is what the area is called. But the barrows are the big stones, right?
Yeah. I had Newgrange in my head. That's
yeah, I had
exactly it.
Newgrange as well. Yeah,
Yeah. Newgrange and Stonehenge kind of mixed.
The Hill of Tara. You know, fairy
Like that
forts
kind of
and
thing.
stuff.
Yeah.
or like a nout or a doubt, maybe. You know, like
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit more,
Yeah.
not so
Yeah.
grand. You know.
Somebody explain what Doubt, Newgrange, Stonehenge is for anybody who's not from Europe.
Megalithic tombs?
Yeah, or are they promontory forts? Is that what they are? Is that what they are? Promontory
Yeah.
forts. That will stick
Yeah,
with
we'll
that.
go
There
with
you go.
that.
I think that's what it is.
Promontory forts. What did you call the other thing before? A prefab. What was the other yoke you mentioned? Don't be coming in here with your words.
Yeah. The big words, dropping word bombs.
Well, like anything like a barrow or anything like that. Like I kind of Google it and see. You Google it and you see what the crack
Like a
is.
wheelbarrow.
And
An upside down wheelbarrow.
but another word for it is a tumulus,
Boys get stuck under a wheelbarrow.
and also another word for it
Tumulus.
is a kurgan or a kurgan.
Jeez, this is like Susie's dictionary corner encounter.
Yeah.
Fucking hell,
The
where are we
pencil in
going?
his hand, pointing at us.
I just-
You're just adding fucking syllables to the word tomb.
No, but
Tumulumbuluminous. Fucking Tom
This isn't a
Bombadil
mime.
over here.
It's a tomb.
No, but it's a kurgan. Like you know where kurgan comes from. You know, you've seen Highlander and the kurgan and that. Like any distinctions and any chance to talk more about Highlander as an entity is well worth taking. But you know that's a whole other podcast. You know.
Yeah, you record that on Saturday nights.
Yeah.
Anyway, lads, I think we're not going to get through this in.
Yeah, we fucking go into it. We get into it.
Let's get into
What's
it.
into
Let's
it?
get into it. So
What
we
we
have
also-
the summary. We have what the fuck is a wight? What's a Barrow-Down? It's a bunch of stones, is the way I took it.
A cairn.
I imagined it in my head as like this mound that's like a tomb.
Because Tom Bombadil, he
Bomb
bursts
Bombadil.
through it at the end, you know, to save the boys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
literally sings the house down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like what I wonder about that, and that might feed into, you know, the whole question of like exactly what Tom Bombadil is. You know, the little song that Frodo sang, did that like summon him, or was he like waiting in the ranks to pounce?
I know,
Was he
was he
following them
watching,
all
like-
along?
Yeah. It's that blew my mind. I couldn't get it. I think he's a witch. Like any song he sings is a spell.
It's like he's not almost a witch. It's like he's a god or something.
How
It's
did
mad.
he literally apparated? You know, he appeared as soon as Frodo said it. So is he in the ground? Does he just pop up like the wind? Tom has become more mysterious. Anybody else have any ideas?
Was he sitting at home with Goldberry having a bit of grub and then was like, listen, I have to go, lad. I'll see you later. Or what was the story, like, you know?
And they were fairly far from the house because they were walking. It was getting darker, and they sat down for their little lunch. So they were gone a good while, and then all of a sudden, they can do a little fucking rhyme, and he's there. Yeah.
It kind of it goes against what I was thinking happened when they went for the little nap that they didn't mean to take, and they were afraid that they took it. You know, they woke up in shock, like fuck, we all fell asleep. I think that little stone, because it was cold even in the midday sun, because there was no shadow, so it must have been either the sun isn't hitting the sides because it's so high up and it's only hitting the top, or it's cold because it's something special, like a portal stone, like Wheel of Time. You know, you hit the portal stone, you're fucking transported through time or into another fucking realm, kind of sideways. Because Frodo at some point in the chapter says, I don't recognize these two stones before I left the house. I see them when we got scared and the fog came down, but I couldn't see them when the fog cleared and we were saved.
Yeah.
So
I
where the
imagine
fuck were
them-
through a different universe? Like,
I imagine it's like Do you remember in Order of the Phoenix when Sirius Black dies, he passes through like 2 stones and
Oh, spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
What? You haven't seen Order of the Phoenix? I have no apps. No, I'm just not having that.
Oh my god!
Something like that, basically, is what
When Bleepy
they
Bleep
pass
dies.
through.
Yeah, I don't know, that makes sense. But then again, it kind of explains the whole Tom thing, that he exists. I think I said this in the last podcast, but he exists in like this world and the spirit world. So that's why he could see Frodo when he put the ring on, and that's why if they did pass through into another dimension, Tom could also see them too. So.
Yeah.
But it turns out that other dimension was just under a pile of stones or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because there was a big stark difference between where they were. Like I remember having to reread that and thinking like, how are we on some island all of a sudden? They were in some island shrouded by mist, and I'm like, oh, where did we get here? So there's obviously some kind of.
When Frodo lost the lads. And he's like shouting for them. He's clearly not beside them, and they're somewhere else. And the voices he's hearing aren't theirs. Yeah. So it's like some magical thing. The wight, obviously, like bringing them toward him.
Which is a funny part for me. He's just like, lads, where are you? And someone goes, I'm here waiting for you. And he's just like, no, God, no.
That's not Mario.
No. And he just shits the cats. His knees go, he drops to the floor, and then like he gets a grip of the Barrow-Wight, and then he just goes unconscious.
Yeah, but then why do they wake up wearing like silk linens or something covered in jewellery?
I know. Where are their clothes? Where have their clothes gone? They can't find their clothes afterwards.
Who changes them? Who takes their pants off?
Oh,
puts this
weird.
thing on.
Puts rings on all their fingers, and
them wights are weird.
That little Addams Family hand thing.
Where
It's
did
just
he
like how does it have the grip to like hold the ring on and put it on their finger while also standing?
No, you don't. No.
Like, is it the thing? Was it because it said like they were in a room and around the corner, Frodo started to see a hand. It didn't say that it was just a hand on its own. It just said a hand came from around the corner.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if it was like the thing like, there's not a body attached, or
He made it the thing because he chopped.
Yeah, when he did chop it, yeah. But like I thought it was just this big creature, and it said he was going to grab the hilt of the sword, which was lying on the 3 lads' necks.
Yeah.
It just gets very dark very quick.
I thought it was a severed hand.
I thought, well, I don't know. I'm going to ask you that. Do you think the Barrow-Wights captured Frodo on purpose for Sauron? Or, like, what would have happened to the ring? Would they have found the ring? Or would the Barrow-Wights have had it with all this other jewellery for some reason?
Fucking hell,
forever.
That's a good question, Oisin. That's a good question.
I looked up a YouTube video of like the history of the Barrow-Downs, and I didn't understand lots of it. As you can probably imagine, I think a lot of it comes from the Silmarillion and from Tolkien's notes. But apparently, like years and years ago, that land was owned by the Dunedain, and they had a war with Sauron or whoever, and maybe, I don't know if it was Sauron or someone else, or maybe it was the Witch King, and there was loads of dead bodies left over in that area. I don't know, I think something like the Witch King of Angmar visited the area. Yeah, with the Witch King of Angmar visited that area, and I think he either sent the wights to the area to haunt it, to make sure, to keep the Dunedain, to keep what would it be, like no man's land between the Dunedain and him, because he was near that area. But apparently he visited that area too, just like I don't know, 100 years before, looking for the ring. So maybe he told them at that stage, if you ever see a ring, let me know, because I'll be back for it.
He's literally looking in the lost found of Middle Earth.
Yeah, they've got all the rings, apparently.
But there was a lot in that video I didn't get.
Imagine dealing with that admin, like asking the wights,
have you got a gold ring? A few of them.
What do you think that the Barrow-Wight was doing to them? Like, why was the sword on her neck? Was it like a ritual or a sacrifice? Because Frodo does mention that he could hear some sort of incantation. What do you think? Why was that happening?
If it was me and some fucking ghost, I've never left the Shire in my life, and some ghost has me in a fucking grave with a sword on my neck, I'd pretend to be dead. I would shit the cax. He would have to dress me twice. There wouldn't be enough jewels in the country to cover the smell of shite. You know, it's terrifying. It's terrifying. So, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know what they want to
That's
do.
my
with them.
take.
I
No,
just
Maybe there's something ritualistic about it. Like, these are lads who are, lords of men before and all this kind of crack, which is, from what I read into it, that's what they were. And maybe dressing up these lads in all these fine jewels and swords and all that kind of crack, it was kind of a way to maybe live vicariously through them or something like that. I don't know. Imagine being stuck down in a tomb for umpteen years and all that kind of crack. And
Take what you can get. Like.
yeah.
Take what you can get. Absolutely.
Well, he gives them everything. He doubles them up.
Did they have camcorders back in the...
Barrow
what I
White
mean?
only fans.
A white's got to make a living.
Oh Lord.
A white's got to eat.
And as well, while he was there, Frodo actually has a moment where he's like, should I just put the ring on and just go? And
Yeah.
run?"
What a devil.
Gandalf would say it.
Yeah.
Fuck this.
He was like giving himself a fucking reason to do it, but then he was like, no, I better not.
Yeah.
They're good lads.
100%. 100%.
So I'd be gone. I'd be absolutely gone.
Be gone. Lads, I love yous. There's 4 of us here now. Let's just put us in that situation. I love yous all, but
But like,
see yous there.
Someone has to tell the story. Like,
but
Yeah,
as
yeah.
soon as that incantation was starting and the creepy voice, I would be gone before he'd even got the first word
oh,
out.
stop.
Out the
100%.
fucking door.
Like, if it was us four, like, would you save me?
No.
I mean, you'd already have fucking notions to get rid of me before you had the chance to.
Oh yeah, long before. You'd be
And
gutted
now
the old
you
man
just,
Willow
you
didn't
know.
finish the job.
You'd leave him.
Yeah.
Well.
There's a lot of incantations in this chapter. The boys are under a spell, clearly, because they're pale as fuck when Frodo finds them. Why the fuck does he wake up earlier? The grip makes him unconscious, so it affects him just as much. I think there's a lot to do with the spells in this. We're laughing at Tom Bombadil singing, but I think, like, when he talks in a rhyme, he's giving them a blessing. When he says, go on off that way, don't fucking get into trouble, but he sings it. It's like, that's literally a blessing. And then the wights are singing back to them like, you're stuck in here forever till you're dead.
So it's like a competition, maybe. A little bit.
Like a fucking rap battle or something.
You can out enchant them.
It's like fucking 8 Mile or something. They're just rattling off. Rap battle back in the day.
Rap battle back and forth.
This is one thing, I missed the chapter, but Frodo starts fucking singing out of the blue to Goldberry.
Yeah.
I know he's talked about this already, but how the fuck did that come from? Like, does the ring allow him to do that?
He's just a creep.
Yeah, I think
all.
he's just he's. It definitely shows that he's more like he even says it about Maggot's wife. He's the first to say it's like, oh, the queen of the farmers' wives or something like that. He's definitely the dog of the group
He's got the gift of the gab, like.
So Frodo and Sam are both dogs.
in a different sense, but yeah.
I've seen you boys come into my house and say the exact same things to my mother. Like, I mean, everybody is Frodo when they come into their friend's house and they try and woo that person's mother. Just be like, oh, and what a lovely dinner you had for
Fair
us.
Lady Una, thank you for the dinner.
Anyway, back to the pod. I think I'm taking a while here to get through it all, but I had a point here.
Well, you're doing great. You're doing great. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, Frodo woke up earlier, is what you said.
Yeah, Frodo was up earlier. Like, Frodo saved their lives, and it stems back to the chapter before where he says, "Anybody who's strong of heart that won't falter, you'll be grand. You can go through the Barrow-Downs."
Yeah.
And that is Frodo, and they even hark on about it in this chapter where Gandalf and Bilbo think he's the best hobbit in the Shire.
Number one hobbit.
He wakes up
Yep.
earlier. He's down the last. By all means, those boys should have died. So is the ring acting through Frodo to save him and wake him up? Or is Frodo just a fucking champ?
Well, there seems to be this undercurrent of the fact that the ring is having this power over him. Even if you look at how, as he wakes up and that light seems to kind of emanate from him, almost inexplicably,
Yeah.
how are you to read into that? So there must be something going on,
But he also has just got some sort of inherent power. Like the way Bull said there, what Bilbo and Gandalf said, that he's just one of the best hobbits. So
Yeah.
if anyone was going to wake up first, it was going to be Frodo. That's what I think.
It said his fear was so great that it seemed to be part of the very darkness. And then he then thought about Bilbo and courage. So what, does fear create darkness when you're in the Barrow-Downs, and does courage bring on the light? That kind of thing. But like, in saying that, do hobbits have their own little powers? Like, we don't get to see or hear of like the hobbits actually having any sort of powers, but it also says as well, right? There is a seed of courage hidden in the heart of the fattest and most timid hobbit, waiting for some final and desperate danger to make it grow. Like it's so, to me, it's like at some point in a hobbit's life, if they're in absolute danger, there'll be something inside them that'll help them get out of it. Is that their superpower?
Maybe, because I mean they're able to slip away from view whenever they need to. It's interesting because they're so unknown. Gandalf is the only fellow who studied them. They live such comfortable lives that how would they ever know if they had superpowers, because they've never been under stress to use them.
Yeah.
If the Marvel universe and X-Men are anything to go by, you need to be triggered.
Yeah.
You know that episode
that's a good point.
You know the episode of The Boys when he pushes his son off the roof.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Frodo seems like a hero in the book, especially this chapter. He's a strong hobbit. In the book, he's fucking saving all their arses. But Frodo was always just a gimp in the film.
Yeah, the opposite.
Sam, in fairness, has saved most of their arses.
Merry's been quite good as well. Pippin is a bit of an idiot though.
But like even in the film, like, you know, the one prevalent thing in the film, even the Fellowship movie, is that like Pippin gets the fucking rasher for, you know, killing off Gandalf and all this kind of crack. But the last few chapters, it's like, wasn't it Merry who decided on this as a shortcut?
Ooh.
Isn't that what brought them to be where they were? In the, like, let's say the Barrow-Downs, like he decided on this little shortcut that they're going to go down. And sure, the boys could have been, you know, chalked off. You know what I mean? They could have been dead.
Yeah.
But Pippin gets the rash in the movies. But like, so
It's the same way fucking Merry and Pippin get the rasher for being thieves and Farmer Maggot, and them being best friends, and Frodo being the fucking devil who's trying to ride the wife.
Yeah, he's the thief.
Yeah.
All right, Dash, give us a rundown of what we've just talked about. We have the summary from Owen, but like, what's happened? What have we chatted about? What needs to be said?
Right, so we're up to where the boys are trapped underneath this tomb kind of thing, pile of stones, whatever it is. And then Frodo wakes up, whatever reason he does, and he remembers, oh yeah, that Tom fella gave me a song to sing when I'm stuck in a pickle. And this is quite the pickle. So he sings his little tune, and Tom comes bounding out of nowhere and sings another little tune.
Bounding over.
Yeah,
Bounding out of
exactly
nowhere.
like that. And he sings another little tune, and he's like, "Go away, wights, go away, you wee wights, woohoo!" And
Spanish
they
in the
do.
sunlight.
Yeah,
Such
something.
is it?
And then they get out, but for some reason, Tom's like, "Oh, take off your little clothes there now." So he tells them to take off their clothes, and they run about in the nip for a while, because, you know, who doesn't like to be free and breezy?
Yeah.
If you could, you know.
Especially after a near-death experience.
Yeah. If you knew there was
Fucking
no
hell.
repercussions, like, wouldn't we all love to run about the top of a hill, frolicking about bollock naked?
It's the only therapy.
there's nothing wrong with the male form, lads. There's nothing wrong with the male form. Or the hobbit form. I don't know why we're all, you know, get out there.
There's nothing better than running around the field in the nip. I
Maybe
don't
a
know
lot
if
of-
you have done it yourselves, but
Freedom.
I've never done it, but I'm going to start.
Running around Phibsborough now. I'll see it in the fucking news. Man arrested
Like-
in it.
But like any person, I have my anxieties, my problems, all that kind of crack. Like any self-respecting person, maybe a lot of that can be solved with, you know, getting the lad out, getting the air at it, you know, letting it swing about a bit. You know what I mean?
Could be onto something
Who
here.
are we to say?
I think these boys have been through a bit of trauma, though. Like, I mean, yes,
A bit is, I
yes,
think,
running around the
an
nip would
understatement.
help, but you know, these boys have been through 2 near-death experiences in the space of 3 days. These boys are fucking idiots. These boys needed Tom Bombadil as a guardian. They need to run around the nip. They don't need to be fucking going off trying to kill a ring. They need to be free in their rings.
What do you think they actually did what I imagined was that they had some kind of game of like naked chasing or something.
Yeah.
I take a lot of personal glee in the fact that we all collectively, you know, sat in our rooms in a quiet moment and just imagine these little fellas running around with their lads just like going 90 and stuff like that. That's a nice moment I take from it, you know. But to the wider repercussions of what they actually did,
It's running in circles like madmen.
Yeah. Bit of spanking and a bit of horseplay. That's what I imagine.
He kind of described it like, you know, Grandpa Joe in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, that they're all like sick and frail, and then all of a sudden they're up and woo, we're good again. Let's go.
Yeah.
Jumping out. And like, yep, let's run about for a while just to get this energy.
Oh man, these boys must be under severe trauma. Frodo's 50, the boys are 30. They've never had a fucking bad day in their lives. The Shire is idyllic. It's fucking Garden of Eden shit. And these cunts have been nearly killed twice in 4 days.
Oh yeah, I love it. They hate it so much that they get out of here. They get out of the Barrow-Downs, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, the road. We weren't meant to go on that, was it?"
Yeah. They just forgot about everything else, like the Black Riders and everything.
Forgot about nearly forgot what the journey was about. They were just trying to get past this bit, and then it was like, "Oh no, there's Black Riders."
Yeah.
Yeah, but to me, I'd pick fucking Black Riders over.
I know, and so would they,
by a
obviously.
tree.
So
and
would
drive
they.
by a tree.
But this shows you how
But at
bad
what
they're-
point did they learn? What point did they learn their lesson? Like, you know, right? They're strolling around as Black Riders after them. Bad enough, you know. There's fucking old trees swallowing them up, like, and you know that's bad enough as well. And then lump on the fact that there's, you know, bodily remains of, you know, nobility of you know, past kings and whatever, coming after them and trying to, you know, do Lord knows what to them, and they think, oh yeah, it could be worse, you know.
We're only 8 chapters in. Like, give us a as a reader, it's a lot to take in as well.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a
yeah,
story.
I read the Hobbit maybe 6 months ago, and just compared to the Hobbit, the Fellowship so far is just so much more darker and ominous. It's like since chapter 1, there's always been this cloud while you're reading. There's always something following them or something about to happen.
Dark. Everything in the east is dark. I mean, they were meant to move around the Barrow-Downs from the west side. If they went through the middle or by the east, they were fucked, and they must have. You know.
Did you think that is it all of them have this vision, or is it just Frodo, like that he's foreshadowing the very end of Lord of the Rings? Did you pick up on that, or is that just
Yeah,
me?
yeah.
Oh, good shout.
So-
So Mary talks about being stabbed in the chest, right?
No, not that bit, but the bit where he imagines someone wearing like a star or something under a big crowd. I imagined that it was, you know, where an Aragorn's crowned and they're all standing around. You bow to no one,
Yeah.
my friend. I thought that bit, that they seen that
think
for a
they
split
had-
second, and then I was like, oh wait, no, that's too far.
I read that as they had a collective vision of, you know, Aragorn and this
Yeah.
kind of like it was almost like Tom was chatting to them about this fucking lad and whatever, and they saw a shadowy figure in the distance, and that was almost a premonition of what Aragorn would be.
Yeah.
But then there's a bit in it as well where he was like, it seems like he's obsessed, like Frodo is obsessed with the sea, and like he has this kind of vision of crossing the sea, and that almost harkens forward to
Yeah, at the end as well.
when he fecks off on the big boat with all the lads, and you know,
Yeah.
goes on to. But you even remember in past chapters when he was chatting about, like, he was envisioning this, you know, what we know as Gandalf on this big stone tower, you know, shining a light from his staff up. So is that something that the ring is giving him, like, or what's going on there? Like some kind of precognition or something?
But a few of them,
you know?
was it Pippin or Merry, they also had some sort of like memory in their heads, and then they were like, oh, I got stabbed in the heart, and he was like, no, it was just a dream, or it was just...
Yeah, no, that was Mary. Yeah,
So
I think
like,
that was
was
Mary.
that because
Yeah.
of... Was that like, as you said, was that the wights living through them in their past experiences of being kings and fighting someone else,
I don't think
fighting
that.
King of Angmar or Sauron or Morgoth or whoever it would be?
I don't know if we'll ever know. And you just have to come up with your own theory, and that's it.
I think we're at the point now where we need hot takes.
I've one more thing for this chapter. So this isn't a hot take. This is just the end. So they leave this and they get away. They find clothes, put them on, and they head up the road on the ponies. And Grant are heading to Bree. And Tom's won't cross the border. Says, "No, I got to go back home." I'm like, will he not cross the border out of choice, or can he not? I don't know.
Is there a limit to his power?
Yeah.
This goes back to your point last chapter where you said, is he a master of that hill and there's other masters
the
of,
areas.
was it John Bombadil of the coal in the mountains?
That lad.
But like what I imagined, like we're like to chat about what Tom Bombadil is and all that kind of crack. Was it Goldberry who was saying that his, the way the world was so long ago was, the world was almost covered in wood, and his dominion of power was so much more, but it's retreated so much because there isn't as much wood as there was before. So that
stops him then.
Yeah. And you can imagine it kind of feeds into the idea that he's kind of had this omnipotent kind of power that once was but isn't anymore, because he can only control the wood, whereas the wood was so much more.
Yeah.
He's chopping it down.
Yeah, because they did say the old forest used to be bigger at some stage, I remember. And then if the old forest was the forest that covered the whole of Middle Earth, then Tom would have been. Yeah, so it's a good point. Nice.
And nice to bring up Goldberry again, because that's always nice.
He always harks back. Twice in this chapter he goes, and boys, I'd love to go for a pint with yous, but there's Goldberry back in the house.
Could you blame him? I gotta get home.
I read that in a way like, I gotta get home to my lovely wife. But like, from listening to you boys last week, it's like, I gotta go home and control me thing.
Yeah, I've got another hot take on this now, because we're finished up with these. Tom is a predator. There's no other way to say it. So twice, the two times they describe waking up in Tom's house, Tom is in the room. They are with them. For some reason, they never say why, just Tom's there and watching them, apparently sleeping and just waiting. And he's the one then who also suggests that they get naked on top of this hill. Right? Get to too many coincidences of Tom being a predator.
It makes it sound like Tom said, "Go away with your clothes, go on there and have a nip and let me have a look at you." And that's not the way it went. It was like they went in there with clothes, like they were dressed in swords and shields and clothes that they weren't theirs. And it was like a white drab, like almost like pajamas or something. And they came out and they're like, "Where the fuck are our clothes?" And then he says, "Get rid of them fucking clothes. Have a fucking jaunt. Yous are alive, boys. Enjoy it." Yeah. Yous are looking at Tom like he's a fucking dirty perv. And I'm...
Yeah. Exactly.
Because
Oisin, I think you've been harsh, to be honest. I do think you've been
there's
harsh.
freedom.
But that's what a hot take's all about too, though.
I'm actually disgusted at that now.
He deserves to see a bit of Mickey for saving the night.
If that's what he likes, then
that's why he was hanging around the bedroom for so long. Just waiting for it to pop. Alright, that's fine.
He's greedy.
Hot takes?
Andrew Nell's got a hot take.
I had one, and it was like, Tom came out after he banished the wight and the lads were running around the nip. He went back in and got some gold and trinkets. And he came across this brooch that belonged to some queen or something like that. And I was thinking that maybe Tom sent these lads out on their own as bait to get caught by this Barrow-Wight so we could find this trinket and give it to Goldberry. Because we all know what Goldberry's like, and, you give her what she wants.
You think so badly.
It's not. It's a hot take. So I'm looking for stuff to be critical about.
Catch him out on.
Don't make me hate Tom. Like,
I'm not trying to, but it just the things I read into it. Like, as soon as he caught them and he banished the wight, he then said, "Well, now I'll take you on to the edge of Bree or wherever he was going." So why didn't he do that in the first place? Why couldn't he just said, "I know the danger's there. I'll take you because I know I can protect you." But you let them out anyway.
He's like a mentor going, "Look, fucking try that little project by yourself." And just watch them from afar going, "Oh, they nearly killed themselves." Oh,
maybe he wasn't wary in the ways of how inept hobbits are in terms of just like... Maybe he thought they'll be grand.
He saved them once. He's like, surely they've learned their lesson.
But they didn't.
He also gave them the little poem to say in case they got in danger.
Basically knowing they were.
Like, all signs lead to Tom being an owl, you know.
What stops them using that when, like, Gollum gets them?
That's outside his realm.
Yeah.
He won't pass the border.
The old forest. He only stays in the old forest.
I imagine how Tom arrived at the scene when they did the little incantation. You know when the sword and the stone, when Merlin fucking, just comes in and is like, do you know that movie?
Yeah, I love that movie.
Johnny comes in and he's like in his Bermuda shorts. And he's like, that's how I imagine it happened. He was just there when he needed to be,
Yeah. He was off Johnson. There was still a fucking snake skin on his Mickey. Burst through. How are you, lads? I was just off of Goldberry there.
God.
Maybe seeing a quartet of Hobbit Mickeys just changes you. You know what I mean? I don't think
Never be the same again.
there must be a collective name for that, and if there isn't, the way it's like a murder of crows.
Yeah.
What is a collective name for 4 Hobbit Mickeys like? If there isn't, there should be.
Yeah. Or
I'll let you come up with
we'll
it.
give you the opportunity now to create one, Newman.
I don't know. I don't know what it'd be. Like a little, it'd be called like something like a sloppy or something like that. sloppy of Hobbit Mickeys.
Oh, Jesus.
Could be.
That's a
Why
question
not?
for the fans.
Throw it
Send in
out to
your-
fans.
Yeah, I'll ask it on Instagram. See what people come back with.
Parliament of Owls. A murder of Hobbit Mickeys.
I just can't get the image out of my head of a House of Parliament consisting of just 4 Hobbit Mickeys. Just them sitting there, just trying to
Order!
decide
Order!
on policy, like
Slapping his Mickey on the
Bang the gavel.
That has to be it. Like, we must
Yeah.
cover everything. Is
That's
there any
the
hot
end.
takes left? Ross will be ashamed to come back to recover this podcast.
I don't really have a hot take, but I have more of a foreshadowing moment that I think was there. Just as they got out with again, a lot happened just after they got out with these Barrow-Downs. They were swinging the Mickeys around. They fucking Tom came out with gold and treasures and stuff, but he also gave them all daggers. Now, he says that the daggers were forged by men of Westerness, which apparently, I looked it up and it said Westerness is just basically the old name for Middle Earth. And he says, yet still some go wandering, sons of forgotten kings, walking in loneliness, guarding the evil things. So that's kind of like a foreshadowing of Strider, Aragorn coming up
100%.
soon. So yeah, that's what I got from that.
Yeah.
And also, one of them daggers Merry used to fucking take down the Witch King of Angmar before Eowyn stabbed him in the face.
I am no man.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
I
cool.
just thought I'd get that out there.
Like, I quite liked, like, as a character, Tom Bombadil. I didn't realise he was, like reading up on, the lore and, like different things that people have written about the whole thing, that he's quite a divisive character in the
Fan
books.
world.
Like,
yeah.
yeah. Like, some people hate him, some people love him. Like, I quite liked him. I thought he was...
I loved him.
Yeah, like, I'm a big fan. Like he adds a certain mystery to the whole thing, and like you say, a certain amount of ambiguity and all that kind of crack that can have conversations like the ones that we've had about him, so
Yeah, definitely.
Are you drinking something green, Bull?
This is the Shamrock Shake.
oh my god,
It's a
That can't be good for
it's
you.
unreal.
Look at that.
That's actually unreal. That's
It's so tasty.
Turn
It's
off
like
the
a
lights
milkshake.
there and you'll glow in the dark.
Yeah.
Are we done? We brought on a new character today.
Did he work? I don't know.
The new man.
Anyone see that ad? The ad where you order Newman and it's the new Viagra stuff?
Is that stuff actually called Newman, is it?
Newman, yeah.
Oh my
Newman.
God.
When you think of erectile dysfunction, think of Newman.
Yeah.
We'll take any sponsor we can get. Look, we enjoy what we do. We love drinking cans. We are Drunk Tolk. It's been myself, Bull. Do you want to sign off, Newman?
Goodbye, lads. Thanks very much for including me. I love you all.
Yeah.
Perennially grateful for your friendship. Thank you.
We're lucky to have you, and we hope to see you back again. We
Yeah.
like seeing people with ability to use a computer.
Yeah. And I have to say, it was a fantastic debut.
Oh yeah.
Some
Brilliant.
big words thrown in there.
lads.
Some that I
Jesus,
did
lads.
understand, some that I didn't understand. But
I'll Google them later.
But yeah,
Says the
well done.
PhD student. I mean, like, if he can't understand them, what fucking hope have the rest of us? Lads, I had a great time.
Me too. Thank you very much, Bull.
Thanks again. Thanks for listening.
But a fine debut at hosting. I really,
Lads.
you've a lovely lilt to your voice. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy hearing you speak.
I enjoy hearing you speak. We
long
should just do the
may-
podcast ourselves.
I think me and Owen Duffy will just leave and leave you two boys there.
Me and Owen
awkward
Newman are just
now.
going to run out in the field with our Mickeys out.
Mickey's out. Like just just like rallying them off each other. That's very nice. Yeah.
Go on. Duffer, sign off.
Anyone that's listening, we love you for listening. Thank you very much. Please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Drunk Talk Podcast. You'll find us on both. And if you want to give out a few beans for a few cans, you can tip onto our what's the thing called again?
Patreon.
That's the one.
Oh, Lord. Oisin.
Great podcast, lads. Yeah, good luck.